Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Introduction to Outer Joins. The objective of this particular presentation is to talk about an outer join. We have now already talked about inner joins, and hopefully you have those down pretty well and feel pretty comfortable with those. Um, when it comes to inner joins, there's the opposite of this called an outer join. And we just want to spend a few minutes talking about these and have you practice these a few times to make sure you get a concept of what an outer join is and how it's applied. So we're going to talk about what an outer join is, different types of outer joins, and then we're going to apply a few outer joins in some examples. All right. So what's an outer join? Well, as you know, inner joins return rows only when there is at least one row in both tables that matches the join condition. So hopefully you know that by now. You feel pretty comfortable with that by now, and you're able to execute those by now. Based upon this little drawing right here, basically we have table A, table B, and whatever matches. And again, we always match based upon the primary key and the foreign key in the related table is what's returned. Okay. The situation comes, what happens when we want to return rows that don't match? And that's where the outer join comes into play. So an outer join returns all rows from at least one of the tables mentioned in the from clause, as long as those rows meet any where or having condition that we may have there. All rows are retrieved from the left table referenced with the left outer join. All rows are from the right table or referenced from the right outer join. And then if you want to reference both tables and get all rows from both tables, you would do a full outer join. Let's talk about each of these a little bit separately. So a left join. So pretty much what we're doing here is the left join key returns all the records from the left table. Now, I know when I first learned this, my question was, what do you mean by left table? Well, I'm about to show you an example here in a second, but the left table is the table to the left of the actual word left join. That's what we're talking about there. Almost kind of silly in a way. That's what we're saying, okay? But anyway, let's just get back to this. So the left join keyword returns all records from the left table and the match records from the right table. The result is null from the right side if there is no match. So in this case here, we're going to have table A and table B. If we do a left join, it's going to return all matched records plus any records that weren't matched. For the right table, if we actually bring back any columns from that table, they would be null because there's nothing over there that matches it. So in this case here, if we look at this select statement, select column names from table left join. So what this is saying, it literally is the table that's to the left of these words right here, left join, okay, is the left table. And that's the one that's to return all the rows, no matter if it's a matching record or not. Table 2, on the other hand, will only return those rows that have a match based upon the on clause within the actual join statement. Make sense? Cool. Once again, we'll apply these in a few minutes. You'll kind of see where they come into play at. And they do come into play. There's no doubt about it. There's some really good reasons to understand how to do an outer join. Obviously, the right join is exactly the opposite. So in this case here, the right join keyword returns all records from the right table and the match records from the left table. The result is null from the left side. So once again, we're basically looking at this situation here, table 1, right join table 2. So in this case, it's going to return all the rows from table 2 because it's to the right of the join statement, okay, and only those that match will come back from table 1. A question I always get, can we just write everything as a left join and not have to worry about left and right joins? And the answer is absolutely. I'm not sure I ever written a right join, to tell you the truth. I always do left joins, meaning I always put the table that I want all the rows to come back in on the left side just by habit. And so with that, I have a left join. But maybe if you're left-handed, you want to make it a right join. I have no idea. With that said, you can do it either way and it will work. Just make sure you understand the difference between what a left join and a right join is. And please don't make it hard because it literally is the table to the right or the table to the left of the actual join statement. A full join then basically returns all the rows, matching or not, from both tables. I'm not sure I've ever written one of these. And if our databases, what's really interesting here, that if our databases are uh, you, know, uh, you know set up that they have good referential integrity, like we have taught you, uh, this really couldn't happen. Meaning, our foreign, I'm just say our child table with the foreign key in it would not return all those rows because we wouldn't have extra rows in there. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Let me try this one more time. Our child table, we established referential integrity. We taught you how to do that so we would never have orphaned records. With that said, the only thing that ever should be in a child table should be rows that only match. So I'm not sure what a full join will actually do for you. But once again, it's good to know that it's there just in case you go out to a place of employment and they don't have referential integrity. A full join would be a great way to find those orphan records that are out there. So, with that said, kind of remember full join in the back of your head. But if you're using a good database that has established referential integrity, a full join should never be anything that you would ever use. Hopefully, that makes sense. Obviously, to do this, you have full outer join. That's the keywords right there, and it'll bring back all the rows from both tables if they match or not. All right. Okay, let's try a few. Let's go ahead and get out of here and come over to this. Well, let's see, I've pre-written a few here in our database that we used last week. And let me see, let me go back up here. Here we go. And in this case here, we're going to write an aggregate to show the number of transactions for all customers, even though they have no transactions. So in this case here, what we're trying to do is we're sitting back looking at this piece right here. For an inner join, when we did this, we would only get the count for those customers that actually had transactions. Again, where there's actually records that match in both tables. Well, there is a great need to probably understand, tell me all the customers who haven't bought anything, maybe within a time period, maybe at all, or anything around that. So I have stuff in my parent table. I want to know who is in my parent table who hasn't created a transaction, who hasn't bought something, who hasn't donated something, who knows, all kinds of reasons to bring back records from the parent table, so which is good information for management to establish. So in this case right here, let me kind of show you once again. If we sit back, let's just do a join here, okay? And we'll go ahead and execute this. And you can see Doug Flynn, Sue Jones, Wendy Mason, and John Smith come back, and they all have sales. Okay, that's a typical join. All right, so Control R. But now let's go do a left join. Whoops. There we go. And we'll execute this. And what you will, oh, I know what's wrong. I actually make this a right join. My apologies. I have no problem showing you that I too can make a mistake. So it's okay. I don't think it's worth. Let me go down here. And there you go. Let me make sure I get everything here and run this. There you go. Now what we see is not only are we pulling back those same ones that we had with the join, we're pulling back the customers in this case that have not had any sales at all. And in this case, it brings back a 0, even though there's a null on the sales side. So once again, that could be really good information. Not only do I want to know the people who have bought stuff, I want to know the people who have not bought stuff. And I could maybe go talk to them or try to figure out what's going on or send them a coupon or whatever it may be. All right? Does that make sense? So if that need comes up, we get that. I went ahead and did a right join there because I put customers on this side. But once again, normally what I would normally do is I would go ahead and do something like this right here with the left join, doing the exact same thing. There's the right with the customer on this side. So it's going to return all the customers, either they have sales or not, okay, and only bring back the sales that match. And that's exactly what we did. Same exact query. and I would go ahead, but now it's a left join because I have customers on the left side. All right. I mean, so in this case here, I probably, one of the things I probably would do is I would maybe not order it by last name. I probably would order it by sales, right? So I would probably order it by total sales. And that, this way I can really see what's going on. Maybe it's total sales, and maybe I also would order it by first name in this case to kind of bring the ones that haven't bought anything up to the top. I can still go ahead and sort it by last name also. Okay, here you go. And whoops. So, and there you go right there. Okay. All right. So in this case here, we went ahead and sorted it by sales first, and then we ordered it by last name based upon that. Kind of cool? All right, good. All right. Okay. The full join, once again, if we sit back and kind of look at this, I'm not sure we're going to see much more because once again, the database that I'm dealing with is fully normalized, and it has referential integrity. So we're not getting that many rows back. But potentially you could get a ton of rows back if we don't have referential integrity within our database. But that is how you do the full join. Okay? So once again, these things are all based upon what you need to do and what you're being asked to do. If your boss comes to you and asks you, can you show me everybody who hasn't done anything yet? This is a good situation. Now, this is all great when you're just joining two tables together, right? What happens if you need to join more than two tables together? Well, in that case, what you need to do, we got to really try to understand, once again, our explicit joins. Please note this, implicit joins does not support outer joins. You cannot do an outer join anymore in SQL Server, okay, implicitly. It used to be supported, it's not supported anymore. So to do an outer join, you must write explicit joins. And again, we talked about explicit joins and all the benefits of that. I still recommend that's what you focus on as you move forward, doing explicit joins, with the idea that implicit joins are out there and you may see them based upon where you go work. With that said, so now we sit back and we kind of look at this, and what we're doing here is we're looking at right in aggregate to show the total number of transactions, total amount spent, and average amount per transaction for all customers for all stores. Include those customers that had no transactions. All right. So if we sit back and we run this, and we do this right here, you'll see we got everything, but we're still missing those who did not buy anything. What happened to those couple people with the zeros? Well, the reason we did is we did not write this correctly. So let's go back and review for 1 second. Remember what happens on an explicit join. This customers is going to be joined to sales, and we have a left join. That's all good, okay? So this returns a result set. Remember, this one and sales coming together will return a result set. And then we're going to join it to stores. And then what it's going to return is those records that then match the stores. With that said, we need to make sure that not only do we do a left join with customers and sales, we're going to have to do a left join also with the result set here, meaning all those rows that didn't match and those that match to the stores. I hope that makes sense. Okay, but you got to consider these are two separate joins. The first one creating a result set, and then that result set then being joined to the next table. And if we don't do a left join on each one of them, it's not going to bring back all the rows like we anticipated. So now when we rerun this by putting left in there, you'll see that those actually show up. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, once again, go back and relook at explicit joins, the video on that from a few weeks ago, where we talked about how these two were done first and then this one. So when you're writing these type of joins and you're trying to understand how to deal with outer joins in this situation, remember, these are joined first, and then after that, that result set is joined here. And so based upon that, This is its own result set. The left join's already finished. It's only going to bring back those that match the stores that actually had something. And if you remember, since there was no sales, there was no records that matched the stores for those customers that didn't buy anything, and that's why they didn't come back. So we had to do a left join to actually include them to the by joining the stores to the results set of sales and customers. I hope that makes sense. You may want to reverse that and listen to me one more time to make sure you understand. All right. The best thing to do is draw it out. This and this, that's a result set. And then you're going to have your next one, right? And that's going to join there. If there's no records that match the stores over here, meaning there was no transaction records that actually had stores associated with it, they wouldn't come back if we just join the stores to it because it's only going to return those that match. With the left join, though, it'll return everything. All right, I repeated that now 3 or 4 times. I'm sure you're ready for me to end it all. All right, anyway, that's your outer joins. Have some fun with those, trying to play around with those a little bit and see if you can get them to work.